All right, let's talk about something that's completely taken over education: generative AI. And look, this isn't some what-if scenario for the future. It's happening right now. Students, teachers, everyone's trying to figure out what it all means. So let's get into it.
I mean, just look at this number. It pretty much says everything you need to know. A recent survey from the Higher Education Policy Institute, we'll just call it HEPI, found that a whopping 92% of students are now using generative AI, and get this, that's a huge leap from just the year before. We're not talking about a slow crawl here. This is a full-on tidal wave.
So when you see a number like that, it immediately brings up the big question, right? The one at the heart of this whole thing. Is this a total game changer for learning, something that's going to personalize education and boost a whole generation? Or is it a complete disaster for academic integrity? You know, the fast track to cheating, laziness, and forgetting how to think for ourselves? It's a classic double-edged sword, so let's look at both sides. Okay, first up, let's talk about the good stuff, the incredible promise of AI. Because when these tools are used the right way, they're like having a super smart personal tutor on call 24/7. Someone who can help you figure out a tricky concept whenever you need it, at your own speed. And hey, this isn't just wishful thinking. There's actual data to back it up. A study published in the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research found that when students used AI tools for just 1 week, their academic performance shot up. We're talking average test scores jumping from about a 76 to almost an 82. That's a real, tangible difference. And you can see students are feeling it too. This quote from that hippie survey really nails it. It's not just about getting better grades, It's about being more efficient, more productive. As this student says, their productivity has been off the chain. For so many, AI has become this amazing tool for brainstorming, for understanding complex stuff, for just getting things done and learning better. So what's the secret sauce here? Why does this actually work so well? Well, some fascinating research points to this psychological idea called self-determination theory. Basically, it says we're most motivated when 3 basic needs are met. We need autonomy to feel like we're in control, we need competence to feel like we're good at what we're doing, and we need relatedness to feel connected and supported. And what's wild is that AI can tick all 3 of those boxes. It gives you control, helps you understand things so you feel capable, and it can even feel like a supportive guide. Okay, but, and this is the big but, for every bit of that promise, there's a serious downside. This is the other edge of that sword we talked about, the one where AI's power leads to laziness, cheating, and a whole bunch of other problems. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? The 2 faces of AI. On one hand, you have the promise: better learning, personal support, being super efficient. But on the other hand, you've got the peril: cheating, becoming too dependent, and getting flat-out wrong information. It's the exact same tool, but the results, well, they're worlds apart, depending on how it's used. That's the tightrope we're all walking. And look, these aren't just vague worries. The data shows that more than half of all students are genuinely afraid of being accused of cheating. Over half are also worried about the AI just making stuff up, those hallucinations. And it's not just students. Teachers are worried too. They see students looking for the easy way out, getting lazy, and becoming way too reliant on tech. And that's before we even get to the bigger issues like data privacy and potential bias baked right into the algorithms. Now, listen to this quote from a student. It's so honest, and it cuts right to the heart of the problem. They say, "I have been using ChatGPT because I became lazy. I only learn a little from it because I only rely on AI." Wow, that's the biggest fear right there, isn't it? The tool stops being a learning aid and just becomes a crutch. All that convenience, it can come at a huge price: actually understanding the material. And here's another layer to this whole thing. The data shows a really interesting split between men and women. Men are much more likely to say they use AI to get better at things, to improve their skills. But women, they're way more likely to be worried about getting accused of cheating. It just goes to show you that not everyone is experiencing this AI wave in the same way. The pressure and the fears are different, and that can really affect how people use these tools. So, you've got this messy situation with huge benefits on one side and big risks on the other. It makes you wonder, what are schools and universities actually doing about it? Are they embracing it, banning it, or just running to keep up?
Well, at first glance, it looks like they've got it handled. A huge 80% of students say, yep, my school has a clear policy on AI. And that number has gone way up, so you can tell institutions are really trying to set some ground rules. But, and this is a key question, does having a clear policy mean it's actually a good or helpful one?
Well, check this out. This is where things get complicated. Even though 80% of students say there's a policy, listen to what the student says. They feel like the school just dances around the subject. It's not banned, but it's not encouraged. It's misconduct if you use it, but then lecturers say they use it. Total mixed messages. It's a perfect example of the gap between what the rules say on paper and what's actually happening in the classroom.
So what's the solution then? How do we fix this? Well, experts are all pointing to a similar roadmap, and it's not just about rules. Step 1, yes, you need clear policies. But that's just the start. Step 2, you have to actually teach students how to think critically about what the AI spits out. Step 3, you have to make them cite it, just like any other source. Be transparent. And finally, step 4, none of it works if you don't train the teachers to guide their students through this new world. It's a whole system, not just one rule.
Which really brings us to the main takeaway here. It's pretty obvious that generative AI isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay in education. So the debate can't be about if we should use it anymore. The real conversation is about how. The challenge isn't about getting rid of the sword. It's about learning how to use it without hurting ourselves.
And the one skill that's becoming absolutely essential in all of this is something called AI literacy. And look, this is way more than just knowing how to write a good prompt. It's about really understanding these tools, knowing what they're bad at, questioning the answers they give you, using them ethically, and seeing them as a partner to help you learn, not as something that does the thinking for you.
Ultimately, this is where we have to shift our focus, not to banning, but to building. You know, a powerful new tool doesn't have to make us dumber. In fact, it can challenge us to become smarter. The real opportunity here isn't just to teach the next generation how to use these things, but to teach them how to use them with a little bit of wisdom and a lot of integrity. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world where an AI can spit out a perfect answer to almost anything in seconds, what's the most valuable human skill left? Maybe, just maybe, it's not about having all the answers anymore. Maybe it's about getting really, really good at asking the right questions.